All right. Well, welcome to Cosmic Compass Conversation. So, some of you were on a call with me earlier, like 5 minutes ago. I wanted to bring a thread forward from that call. And we won't deepen into this today, but I think it's worth remembering. One of the things that we were talking about in the last call, which was an astro preview for November, is that we are embodied love. We are embodied love. So, how can we stay in that place? So, one of the things we're going to do from that place of knowing that we are embodied love is we're going to breathe. So, if you feel like joining me, you can close your eyes or you can just bring your awareness inward, but we are going to breathe. So, dropping your awareness inward, you can close your eyes, feel your feet, your legs, feel the earth, thank the land that you're on. And as you breathe in up through the soles of your feet, expand your belly. And then exhale when you're ready. And relax your jaw and your shoulders and your hips, bringing your awareness all the way back down to your feet and feeling the earth and thanking the earth where you are, thanking all those who have come before, and breathing in up through the soles of the feet, expanding the belly. And then exhaling through the mouth, audibly if you can. And then dropping your awareness all the way down, all the way to this beautiful earth, feeling the earth's energy of support, breathing that in up through the soles of the feet, filling your cells with everything they need today, expanding your belly. When you're ready, exhaling, drop the shoulders, relax the jaw, bring yourself into your heart, breathing in up through the soles of the feet. And when you're ready, feel your heart and exhale. Feels so good. And when you're ready, you can come back into the circle here. So much beautiful energy available to us right now. And, I've just been steeping in the astrology for next month, but we're going to focus on this week right now. And to that end, we will start with cards, but I am also going to start with today's chart because there's always so much going on. The sun has moved into Scorpio, which I know a lot of you already know that. And I am, I like this time of year. There's a lot of really good energy moving with us. Mercury will be moving into Sagittarius soon, but is still currently in Scorpio. So another thread from our last call, listening to our ancestors, honoring the ancestors this week. And again, if that doesn't make sense, sometimes I just say these phrases and I think, well, maybe I should probably say more. So what does it mean to honor my ancestors? I don't really even know a lot about my ancestors. A lot of the records were burned. Um, I know that some parts of my family, they have more information and they can go back into the different countries because those records were not burned. But um, when I think of honoring my ancestors, this is what I'm doing. I'm I'm thinking about honoring the fact that my parents, their parents have all given me an opportunity. They've given me life. So I am honoring that I'm here. I'm being in gratitude for being here. And if I know a little something about an ancestor, even my parents, right? And I just am honoring, thank you for that because I'm here because of that. Um, and even if I don't know, I don't have a lot of information. But even a little thing like knowing that my grandmother was a gardener. And I honor that. I am not, but I can still honor the fact that she, award-winning gardener, right? In fact, my computer is lifted up on a beautiful book that was hers, an incredible first edition of the art of arranging flowers. And so I think my grandmother is with me. She is here every day, here at the root, right here, holding up my computer. And I'm sure she wouldn't mind. Anyway, but honoring the ancestors, honoring the fact that we are here. This is a great week for that. So, okay, on that note, we'll pull some cards. All right. Because some, as we've said, in some traditions, so the cards are really very much about our ancestors speaking to us. Okay. And your ancestors can be DNA, they can be spiritual, they can be, bigger than just your family, although I think that's important. Okay. First card for the week. I think we've recently had this card, but now it's our first card. Nine of Cups. This is looking kind of fun, people. So again, as always, what do you see? What do you feel? What's the message that's coming to you for you? What is the message coming to you for you? I like it. Our second card, we do get this card quite often as well. And the timing of what's in the chat, this is laughter, definitely coming forward. Hierophant. And again, what do you see? What do you notice? What do you feel? What's happening for you in this card? And again, we can talk a little bit more about it, but I just really want to give you an opportunity to check in for yourselves. Okay, and the last card is this one. The Ten of Swords. Now, for those of you that know, tarot, give yourself an opportunity to put yourself into this card. What does this feel like? What's happening here? What could be happening here? What's the new story? And for some reason it's blurry. There we go. What's the story here? Okay, so we'll start backwards today. And we'll just look at the Ten of Swords for a minute. I have my Angeles Arrien book right here from the last call. We know we can count on Chris-Anne for her powerful affirmations, right? So we'll leave that for the follow-up email. But this card has a story. In many decks, there's this brings a lot of different energies. I can hear those of you that know what this card means. I can hear what you're saying in your heads right now. I can hear it. So let's see what we can do to honor it, but reframe it. So let's just start with, if this is a journey, and there's an element of surrender in the journey, what would you like that to feel like? What would you like that to look like? What could that be? Okay, what could that be? Ten of Swords. For those of you that don't know the tarot, don't worry about it. Just continue with this idea that this is the beginning of a journey. Okay, so, and sometimes we are letting go of some things. Sometimes we have to take a leap of faith, right? So we're looking at this from that perspective. All right. So where in your lives, where in my life am I needing to take a leap of faith? Where in my life am I this week? Because this is focused on this week. Where am I beginning a journey? And maybe I'm ending a journey. I don't know, something to consider. So I have my Angeles Arrien book out. For those of you that don't know, this is the cover of my book. I love this book, clearly. I use it all the time. And the reason I do is I really appreciate her take on the cards. There's usually some information about family or how we can work with the energy. And so I will admit you could obviously tell from how this book has been utilized for decades and I found this book to be super helpful. For those of you that know the traditional tarot, you know this card has a title, which we're not going to speak right now. But we are going to talk about the reality of what are the old fears and obstacles that you want to release. What is the new journey? And I mean, I take this stuff very seriously. And again, Angeles Arrien always says there's a journey. Good. There's a journey that can put us in a more fortunate and positive direction over the next 10 weeks or 10 months. Okay. So basically what this card is saying is that there's something being held in the mind. So, you know, the swords, right? Mental mind. That is holding us back somewhere. I mean, I know exactly what this is for me, so you all can figure out what it is for you. But what is holding us back? What fear? What shame? What concern? What old systemic family pattern might be holding us back from something really powerful? Very good. Just reading the chat. There's the 10 relates to the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so in the major cards, the 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. And again, the Wheel of Fortune, if you remember, fortune is defined as that we have what we need, right? And the Wheel of Fortune says sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So it's, you know, it's a wheel, it's constantly moving. So this card is saying right now, part of the wheel is saying we need to let some things go. What are we leaving behind? What are we letting go? So that we can surrender to the journey ahead and move forward with grace, ease, in the highest and best way, right? How can we move forward? Okay. I know a lot of times we don't spend a lot of time on the cards, but I've decided it's kind of fun, so we're going to do it. And since I just did a bunch of astrology the hour before, this seemed like the right thing to do this time for the week. All right, now we have our friend here. He looks pretty happy, right? And it's an interesting take on the card because for those of you that are familiar with the original, you know, kind of traditional tarot, this is a card that often represents like the in between, the bridge between the new, the old. It's very definitely a card of being a teacher of the light or a bringer of the light. All right. So embodied love, embodied joy. The energy here, in addition to what we will get with our wonderful Chrisanne affirmations later, reminds us that we are all part of a human family. Okay. The number 5 relates to family, and it also relates to change. And this is kind of reminding me of the conversation we just had about Uranus going back into Taurus, because this is also a Taurus card. And so there's an energy of how am I embodying light? How am I embodying love? How am I going to move through these changes with ease and grace and joy and pleasure? And how can each of us be a light going forward? Okay. So, I mean, even though these came out in a different order, it kind of makes sense if we work here first, then we go to this card and we're like, okay, so I'm going to embody this light and love, right? I am embodying light and love. How can I walk through the world? How can I sit and share that frequency? And then we end up going here, right? 9 of Cups. This one, not surprisingly, has a bit of a joyful aspect to it. Cups are emotional energy, um, their feelings, their water. So this is clearly a moment of optimism. This is clearly a moment of joy, right? And how, again, I'm sure she has a beautiful affirmation, which we will get to, but it is, how can I embrace this? Okay, look at how she's like open and she's ready to receive. And that is reminiscent of something we were talking about last hour about how is it that I am able to receive in equal measure to that which I give. And how can you receive so that you can give, right? One of the things about Angeles Arrien and this card, again, and for those of you that don't have this book, it's still in print. I would get it if you're interested in the cards. It's such an in-depth study. And I know people who are even going further than this and writing their own books, which is pretty cool. But, Angeles Arrien says that this is a card of fulfillment, expansion, happiness, and it is time for you to integrate that and bring that more fully into your life. So it does seem like there's a nice progression. Of course, they came out a different way, but you can use them however you want. You can start here with gratitude and appreciation and love and just being open, and then you can fill up with this, and then you're at another level of the spiral, and you're like, oh, right, now I'm letting go of this now. And then you can move the other direction, and then you can move this direction. So there is no real linear, spirituality isn't linear. So we can utilize these however we want. I am thinking that maybe the one thing about astrology that I want to share. Do I want to share this? Sun's already in Scorpio. I cannot believe we're at the end of October. Mercury, Mars are still in Scorpio. Yeah, I think I just want to stay with the listening, honoring the ancestors this week. For those of you, if this fits for who you are and how you move in the world, Halloween or Samhain is a great time to sweep out the old and invite in the new. So we sweep it out on October 31st and November 1st, invite it in. For those of you that are wondering what I'm saying about Samhain, it's spelled Samhain, and it's pronounced Samhain. So it is a Celtic holiday, and it really does, it's a holy day, and it honors all those who have passed. It honors a completion of our wheel that we have been on, and it offers us a reminder to receive and open up and be ready for what's next. It's a very powerful time of year. Something I shared in the last call, but I think candlelight anytime candlelight is very special. But if you think about, I know Halloween for a lot of us and for a lot of people with children, it's a very active holiday, but somewhere in that time frame of the 30th, 31st, 1st, and 2nd, maybe being in some candlelight, really considering that you are here because you had ancestors who got you here, and we are living on this land that was, for me, appropriated by other people who came in and took over. And so how can I honor those who were here first, whether it's the animals and plants or the people that were here first? So there's a lot of thinking, and there's a lot of honoring, and there's a lot of dropping into the heart and dropping into the body. And being able to do that in candlelight is so awesome. It helps the body's rhythms. It helps support us better sleep. I did notice last night I had candles. I had these fairy lights on the dimmest they could be, and I just kept the light very low for most of the evening, and I slept really, really well because, there's a biological connection with the serotonin and melatonin and all the different things that are happening in the body. So just be mindful this week. How can you honor yourself? How can you honor those who have come before? How can you, and like this town goes, they do a lot for Halloween. So how can we be part of that too and still keep that inward focus? All good questions and great inquiries for all of us to be a part of as we move through this week. And again, great information from our cards this week. Right? Awesome. So that is what I have for you today. It's a short cosmic compass. Next week we have fun guests. I think you're going to enjoy it. But this week is a shorter one. And again, thank you for joining me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening out there in YouTube land. And I will say goodbye for now and see you next week. And for those of you that are here live, I'll be right there.